Welcome to Omnisend's onboarding training course. My name is Yurat and I'm on the customer success team here at Omnisend. Right, so today we will dedicate the full session to campaigns on Omnisend. And here is what we will talk about. So we will talk about campaigns that convert. I will share some best practices with you. Second, we will talk about campaigns overview on Omnisend. And finally, our practical part, we will build an email campaign from scratch on Omnisend. So why should you send campaigns in the first place? Additionally, to the welcome automation, abandoned cart, and order confirmation automation messages that we talked about, you should set up campaigns with Omnisend and send promotions to your customers too. You can promote season-related items on your store. You can also congratulate your customer, like targeted customer groups on national holidays. You will just need to create a segment based on the country information if you have that provided by your clients. You can also introduce top trends and popular products on your store. You can announce a sale or clearance to your followers. Finally, you can just engage with your audience, engage with questions, asking for some answers or help with the next line that you're planning to, or with the next products that you're planning to introduce, or give them away, or engage them in a lottery with our scratch or gift box content blocks. We will talk about those later. In fact, today we will talk about sending campaigns that convert. And for that, we will look into the two main ways to send campaigns on Omnisend. And the first one is to use segments and send targeted campaigns. So as you can see on the screen, our statistics show that segmented campaigns have much higher open rates, click rates, and order rates compared to the non-targeted campaigns. In fact, the order rates for segmented campaigns can actually be at least 1.5 times higher compared to the non-targeted ones. And knowing that around 25% open rates for email campaigns in the industry is considered a good trend, we are proving that you can do better with segmented campaigns and reach up to 32%, 32.15% on average. We already talked about the different segments you could use to target your customers in audience session 2. But just a brief reminder of what contact segments you can send your campaigns to. So quickly, engage contacts, active customers who purchase from you, or if you don't have much purchase history, you can also use active campaign openers and clickers segment. So those should be your main segments to send promotions to. You can also send promotions to VIP customers, so customers that spend a lot on your store or customers who purchase quite frequently. Or based on the information you collect about your customers, you can use tags. If, for example, they usually buy from a particular category on your store, or if you're selling pet products, you can also categorize those by cats, dogs, and so on. You can use tagging to tag your customers and build segments and target promotions based on what they buy. Or also, you can use country information if you collect that about your client or any other custom information. And for example, send them promotions based on the national holiday in that country. So those promotions really work well. Number 2 is actually to send omnichannel campaigns. And with those, you can reach customers via email, SMS, or push notifications on Omnisend. So for example, with SMS and other channels on Omnisend, you can repeatedly approach subscribers that don't open your initial email campaigns. And as you can see in the example here, using omnichannel for promotions can indeed increase the purchase rate for up to 4 times. So amazing results can be reached with omnichannel campaigns. Okay, so now if you go to the campaigns tab and click new campaign, you will see a selection of different campaigns that you can create with Omnisend, and a little bit about those. So email campaign or email newsletter promotion will allow you to send a regular email promotion and boost it with campaign booster that we have after 48 hours. Campaign booster will be sent to the customers that did not open your initial email campaign. So this is what you can do with the first option. Select a email A/B test to test your sender's name or campaign subject lines. So 2 ways of testing. As an example, a campaign will be sent to your selected percentage of contacts with one headline. We recommend 25% for the first group, and the second 25% will receive campaign with another headline. So 2 headlines you will be able to test. And finally, the winning campaign, the winning headline will be chosen, and that will be sent to the remaining, let's say 50% contacts in the segment that you select for your A/B test campaign. So this is really a great way to test what works better for your audience, for your store, and will help you earn better results and more revenue. We also offer SMS campaign feature if you're collecting SMS opt-in, for example, via Omnisend sign-up forms, if you're collecting phone number, or via checkout. That's for Shopify for now. A good use case, as an example, is to send an email campaign first. Then you can set a campaign booster that will be sent out after 48 hours. And finally, after that, you can segment all contacts who did not open email campaign or the booster by campaign name. And in that way, send the SMS campaign after another 48 hours to all of those who did not open email campaign and who did not open your campaign booster. So a final touch would be the SMS campaign for non-openers. And we also have push notifications campaign that you can set up on Omnisend that will be shown on 3 browsers, so Google Chrome, Mozilla, and Opera browsers. Both, just to note, both SMS and push notifications are paid features, so I really recommend trying those out while you're still on trial, just to see if those work for your store. And if you want to deep dive more into SMS campaigns or into push notification campaigns, we have that information on our knowledge base, so you can check that out. So when you send your first campaign, we will start the automatic verification process for the email campaign. Don't panic if the campaign is not sent right away. Usually it only takes a few seconds to verify the campaign, but sometimes it can take up to 30 minutes before it is sent out to all of your recipients. So during that verification process, we will check if your contact list is healthy, if those contacts have been collected organically, and what will happen. So in Omnisend, your campaigns should not exceed 4% of bounce rate or 0.1% of spam rate. So you need to make sure that you clean your list at least twice a year and unsubscribe all of the old emails that are no longer existing that could end up as bounced, as well as inactive contacts who may no longer be interested in your promotions. and can end up marking your campaigns as spam. So that's why it's very important. In case bad metrics appear, our compliance team will reach out to you with some good recommendations. If you wish to check how your campaigns are performing, you will find the statistics in Reports tab on Omnisend, and you will find information about each of the campaign. You will see the activity, overview activity report, as well as report per device and more. But we will deep dive into reports in our next session, understanding the reports. Promotional newsletters have to be well designed, catchy, and offer something interesting for the reader to drive good results, to convert your customers so they buy something. So you could drive more traffic to your store, and in general engage your contacts. So you have to think about both textual and visual components of your email message, starting from your subject line and newsletter layout, ending with your brand logo, fonts, and decent spacing and more. So now let's move to the practical part. Get your Omnisend accounts ready, and we will create a newsletter, an email newsletter together. If you go to Campaigns tab and click New Campaign, choose Email Campaign, and I'm switching to Product. So once you click Create Email Campaign, you will be brought to Campaign Settings. Start with the subject line. And as you can see, you will have an inbox preview on the right-hand side. Campaign Booster, this is something that I have mentioned. So Campaign Booster will be sent out after 48 hours of your initial campaign. The timing cannot be changed, so just FYI. We also need to add the headline for the booster campaign. It can be the same or it can be different. Sender's name, so this is your store's name. Sender's email address, so this email address should be your store's domain. Don't use yahoo.com or gmail.com. We have talked about it in previous sessions, but those providers automatically bounce email messages. So for good sender reputation, we recommend using an email address of your own domain, like here, basicpiece.com. If you haven't verified your sender's email yet, you might not have it as a selection here. So just go to Store Settings, find Settings, and find sender's email address. Add your email address there, verify that one, and once it's verified, you will be able to find it in your campaigns here all of the time. Okay, we are also adding a pre-header. Campaign name, so this is something that you will be able to find, organize your campaigns on Omnisend, nothing that your customers will see. You can, of course, change the language if you need any other language for your campaign. Auto-post to Facebook will allow you to share this particular campaign on your Facebook page. You will need to connect it for the first time. I already have it connected, and you will need to give permissions to post on your Facebook group. Going forward, you will be able just to enable it for the future campaigns you wish to be posted on Facebook, like I'm doing here. And then let's move to the next step, which is templates. So you can actually choose from the standard templates that we have and start from scratch. You will have all of the building blocks in there, so you will be able to adjust those the way you want. You can also choose one of the theme templates that we have. One note, they don't limit you, so you can still change all of the blocks within the template, but they will help you with the design if it's your first campaign, so it might be a good inspiration. Or you can actually use any of the saved templates, so it's not for the first time, but once you polish one of the email campaigns, I really recommend saving it so you can just reuse it in the future and save a lot of time for yourself. So I have some templates saved already. What I will do, I will actually just choose one of the theme templates so we don't waste too much time on the design. Just select this one and I will be brought to the next step on the timeline. So it's my content step. Here's where you will find a lot of different content blocks that will allow you to form a perfect email for your customers. You can find from plain text or plain image blocks to more interactive discount content block or product recommender or the gift box scratch cards that I mentioned before. You will also be able to use HTML coding if you know that one. In the saved blocks, you will find all of the blocks that you previously saved, so that might be handy in the future as well. What you need to start with is of course, with the email header and logo. I already have my logo inserted here. It's populated automatically. You can also add a default logo of your store in store settings, contact information. So you can add it there. I will not need my menu items, so I will just remove it. I will not use it this time. If you just click save and close, you will go back to the blocks. You can drag and drop the blocks that you need to your template. I will just use a couple of those. What is great is that you can actually hide links behind the text that you use or behind the images that you use. So if your customer clicks on those, they will be brought to your store or to a particular collection on your store or a particular product on your store. So that is very useful as well. I will add my store here. You can click save, or you can just go right away to the next block and just add some text here. What I like to do, I always like to offer some incentive for my customers. In the newsletters, you can play with the text, with the font size, with colors as well. Just once again, see what works better for your store. You can also dive into settings and just play with some colors for the background for each block. As an example here. So you can change the design the way you like. Next important rule is that you stay consistent with your brand style and keep your newsletter as simple as possible. Well, less is always better, so don't overdo it. We recommend using visuals, of course, add a lot of images, but stay with a 50-50% rule. So you should use at least 50% of actual text in your beautiful newsletter. because quality content is one of the metrics that inbox providers check, and they use it to determine your sender reputation. So to ensure good deliverability, make sure you add some text versus images. If you click on the image, you can add and you should add your own images here. We have a great image editor, so if you click edit, you can actually crop the picture if you need to. You can also play with some frames, add stickers, just use your fantasy. And I'm just saving that one here. You can also play with settings for each of the blocks, as I mentioned. So for example, I will use the full width for my image. I don't want to have any padding, so I will remove those. But once again, you can just play with the design the way you wish. Just save and close. Adding some products, of course, that would lead to my store. You can always select from computer or from the library that you already have. I will just select from computer. As I mentioned, you should always add some links to make sure that we lead to your store, so customers can actually go and buy the things you're offering. Just adding some information about my products here. You can also add the button text, so it will be shown as well. They can click on it when they want. Let's move to another one. Just to finalize the newsletter. So I'm just adding products that I have on my store, as well as I'm just adding some text about those that will help me promote my products, but at the same time, as I mentioned before, this will help me earn better score for deliverability from the inbox providers. Adding links is very important. You can also add a lot of personalization in either the text or the title, anywhere you want. Different personalization like contact information, account information, or date. We also have a great article about those. I will just delete the unnecessary blocks. So what is very important with images is that image dimensions should be at least twice bigger than the image placeholder. That's because your image has to look sharp on high definition displays, and those are commonly found on mobile devices like iPhone, iPad, and latest computers with 4K displays, Apple Retina displays. So for example, at Omnisend, the width of our email templates is 640 pixels. So you need to add image width. Your image width should be at least twice as big. It's 1280 pixels. So 1280 pixels images would look great on all of the devices. I recommend writing this down. So finally, your newsletter would look great if you highlight your call to action buttons and finalize right with a footer. So footer content block should include your company information as well as unsubscribe link for your clients and some social links as well. As for the unsubscribe information, you can also add the subscriber preference center. So it's hidden by default, but you can add it. And your clients will be able to click on it and edit their preferences. So you can actually collect more information about your customers as well as their preferences. It's very useful. Just click here and you will be brought to the preference management page where you will be able to add any information related to your store. So once I'm happy, I will just add my social links in the settings type here. So we can see those, like my customers will be able to go to my social pages too. And yeah, once it's done, we can just save and close. I really recommend polishing your first email, and once it is done, once you're happy, so just save the template here, and you will, the next time you create your campaign, you will be able to find under the save templates for your future newsletters. And also take time to visit Omnisend blog for inspiration. We share a lot of different use cases and also examples from our customers for email design, for content variations, and the different newsletters they send out to their audience. So definitely worth checking the blog. And once your email campaign is finalized, you can just hit preview and see how it looks on both on the desktop and on mobile. Okay. If you're happy, then you can also send it out as a test to yourself. But what's important to note here is that when you send a test to yourself, not all of the content blocks will populate. For example, the product recommender or the discount, the actual discount code will not be populated. So if you wish to see the final result, you can always create a segment with your email only and just send a real campaign to yourself only, just to see how it looks on your end on any devices that you use. And yeah, so once you're done, you can just click save. And next, we're moving to the recipient step. As recommended before, we should be sending not to all contacts, but to particular segments. If you're new, you can, of course, start with all contacts list, but eventually start segmenting your audience for best results. I have engaged audience segments somewhere here. So I will just move to the last step where I can actually review if everything is correct. And what I can do, I can send it right away, or I can schedule it for later. For example, I can schedule it for tomorrow, 5:45 p.m. This is the time that is shown based on the time zone that I selected in the account settings. So once campaign is scheduled, that's it, you're done. This is your first campaign. I will just go back and talk about the key takeaways from our session. I see that the time is ending. So segment your campaigns because those will ensure higher reach and, of course, bigger sales. Create segments based on customer activity or purchase behavior and use tags and contact properties to have the best results. Key takeaway 2 is use omnichannel, send omnichannel campaigns because those can have 4 times higher purchase rate. Why don't you start with an email campaign, send a campaign booster, and finish with an SMS campaign for all of the non-openers? Also make sure that you send promotions to the contacts that you collected organically. So keep your list healthy and clean it at least twice a year. And finally, send quality content newsletters. So check out our blog for some great inspirations, but make sure that you always stay in line with your brand. Whether you're working on automations or on campaigns, stick to the same design and pattern that matches your store's design. And save templates feature is actually very handy here because you can reuse your templates in the future. And finally, also use the 50-50 rule for text versus image in your newsletters, as inbox providers will note that you are a good sender if you send quality promotions to your contacts. And yeah, that is it for today. I really hope that you found the session useful. I wish to see you in the next session that we have about reports. If you have any questions, feel free to use our self-service knowledge base or contact our support via in-app chat, Facebook, or at support@omnisend.com. We are here to help you 24/7. So thank you once again for being with me here today. Goodbye.